Hey everyone, Mike Lawson here. Have you ever said to yourself, my team's not doing anything? I recruited a bunch of people. They're just not doing anything. Well, I have a proven system that's guaranteed to work every time. You know, are you having trouble with your team sponsoring people or recruiting people? Are you having a tough time motivating your team? Are you trying to do you want your team to get more customers, depending upon what type of business that you're in? Do you want them to be following the system? Do you want them to be doing more three-way calls? Well, it's important to understand that it all begins with you. And here's what I mean by that. And here's the guaranteed way to work every time, okay? See, if your team's not producing and your team's not doing, and now I know some of you guys are saying, man, I just want one person on my team. I get it. I've been there. Or maybe you have a little team and they're just not doing anything. They're not producing. Well, here is a guaranteed way to get them to start producing. Well, it's not guaranteed to get them to produce, but it is guaranteed to help your team produce more. Here's what I mean by that. See, if there's a system in place, your company has a system, and your team isn't following that system, and let's say, obviously, recruiting or getting customers. I mean, customers in any type of industry is the lifeblood of business, right? So if you want your team to be getting more customers, here's how to do that. You get more customers. And when you get a customer, if you have a team Facebook page, you post that on there. You post what you're doing. You know, they need to see that you're leading by example, right? Do you want your team to be recruiting more? Do you want your team to be out there piquing everyone's interest and talking to the waiter or the waitress when they go out to eat? Well, you need to do that at every opportune moment. And then you need to post that and let your team know what you're doing, the activities that you're doing. And it's not bragging, it's leading by example. Now, let me take it one step further. If you have an opportunity to spend time with members on your team and you go out to eat, that is your time to pique that waitress's or waiter's interest. Okay, you need to lead by example. If you're telling people to talk to everybody, when you're with your team, you need to be talking to everybody. One of my mentors early on in my career back in 2001, he was the master at this. I mean, we would go out for lunch. We would go out to get sushi. He actually got me to start eating sushi, and that was just a big thing. We would always get together and eat sushi. But every time he would get the waiter or waitress's phone number. Now, whether they do anything or not is irregardless. It doesn't mean anything. The point is, he was always leading by example. So you as a leader, you got to understand that you set the pace of your team. You need to be the leader and by leading by example. Now, it might be uncomfortable for you to do it. Here's how I overcame that fear and that fear of feeling uncomfortable. When I would be around my team, I knew I needed to be the leader. So I would just do it. It almost forced me to get out of my comfort zone because I didn't want them to be recruiting or getting more customers than I was, and I wasn't leading by example. So this is critical. So spend time with your team and be in areas and be in situations where you can demonstrate that you're a leader by piquing people's interest or recruiting or getting customers or talking about the business or whatever business you're in and whatever you want them to be doing. Now let's talk about three-way calls for a minute. Do you want your team to be doing three-way calls? Here's what I would suggest you do. If you have a new prospect, you personally, and by the way, as a leader, you should always have a limited amount of people that you should be talking to. Get the newest member on your team. Get them on a three-way call with you first and say, hey, I want you to listen to how I approach this person. And that new person is listening to you, or a person you're mentoring is listening to you. Just say, listen, mute your phone, and then you call somebody, and then you explain the business or try to recruit them or try to get them as a customer. Let somebody else hear it. Don't make a phone call. Don't have a meeting unless you have somebody on your team with you. Now, again, if you don't have anybody on your team, you just want somebody on your team, well, you just go out there and do it. And then once you eventually get, and it's just a numbers game, you'll eventually recruit somebody. And once you recruit somebody, you just do it all over again and let that new person see every single step that you're making. Now, do you want your team to be going out to your weekly meetings or to your conventions or getting on weekly training calls? Well, here's what you need to do. You need to make sure that you are showing up at every meeting and not missing meetings, not missing conventions. You need to make sure and let your team know that you need to be the first to be registered. You need to be the first showing up at the meetings. Do you have your team showing up late at meetings? Well, you need to be there early. Here's what you need to do. Take it one step further. Inspect what you expect. Here's what I mean by that. If you have people that are supposed to be coming to a weekly meeting, your team, right? You want them plugged in. Well, you need to call them. Number one, confirm with them. Yeah, I know they're already in the business and they're business owners and they should take it upon themselves. But guess what? You need to physically call them. Now, I know we live in a world of everyone's text messaging or sending Facebook messages or whatever your form of communication is. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you place a phone call. In my opinion, there is nothing better than a physical phone call. Here's why. It's harder for that person to say no. It's harder for that person to tell you on the phone, no, I'm not making the meeting, or no, I can't get on this conference call. Physically call them. Now, if you have a large team, it's hard to contact everybody, right? But you contact the most important people. Not that everyone else isn't important, but the people that you're focusing on now in your group. This is very, very important. So I'm a big believer that you physically call people if you want them to get on calls. You're going out to a weekly meeting. You're going out to a convention. You're calling them. You're letting them know every move that you're making. Again, this is you being a professional. You want to make the serious money that the top earners in your company are making? This is what they do. I promise you this is what they do. So don't take it lightly. Okay, now, listen, if they're not coming out to the weekly meetings or getting on conference calls or getting customers or recruiting people, they're not going to do it anyway, right? So it's easier to give birth than to revive the dead. So listen, if they're not going to do it or they say they're coming out to a meeting, right? Take them by their word. But if they don't show up and you invite them to the next week or the next conference call or whatever the next event is, and they don't show up, well, they're giving you their answer. They're telling you. See, actions speak louder than words, okay? I can't tell you how many people came into my business and told me, I'm going to be at the top. I'm going to be there in record time. I'm going to make you millions. Well, if everybody said, if one person did what they said they were going to do, when they told me that, I'd be wealthy beyond belief right now. Okay, the point is, take people by their actions, not their words. So again, you set the pace of your team, lead by example, keep following the system, keep put one foot in front of the other. Okay, and if you want your team to be getting more customers, yeah, Tom, we be rich right now. That's funny, but right, if you want your team to be getting more customers or recruiting more, you need to be out there recruiting more and getting more customers. And I highly recommend that you bring your team on every call, every meeting, every opportune time that you can bring them with you is definitely beneficial. So I hope this helped today, guys. Take care. I look forward to speaking to you guys soon. Again, make sure you like my fan page at Mike Lawson right underneath Founder. Mike Lawson, click on that, like that, appreciate it. Share, tag. Have a great day, everybody, and be good.